seriously heavy rain in Northampton yesterday. Good part of the day, and in fact it was still drizzling a little bit in the evening. But we are going to start on time. Sussex 154 for 4 in their second innings. That means they still trail by 181. And we are going to see Stiaan van Zyl resume on 71 not out. Ben Brown is on 30. Looks though it's going to be Gareth Berg who's going to open the attack. From the Dorset end, I'm Andrew Rowd from BBC Radio Northampton, joining us on comedy today. If you're from BBC Radio Sussex with us in a second, and delighted also to welcome Ben Smith for and first ball of the day, he's playing that out into the offside, and there's no run. We have Van Zyl at first slip, and Tom Taylor at second. And safe late, first innings centurion for Northamptonshire, making first class 100, he's a backward point. And pushes it to extra cover. And it's a bit rocky and there's no run. We were saying, Ben, with the fact that temperature has risen quite appreciably in the this morning.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. That extra 10 degrees of warmth that we've not had this season yet. You'd have thought that might just encourage the ball to swing a little bit more, but 42 overs old, if they've got rid of the lacquer and they've got it shined up, that's a possibility.
Here's Berg in again, round the wicket, bowls to Van Zyl, who just gets a thick inside edge and a bit of moral success for the bowler, but it's a tangible success in the scorebook for the batsman because he picks up a run as it goes just behind square on the leg side, and they come through for one first run of the day. So Van Zyl up to 72 and Sussex up to 155 for 4. Northamptonshire, I'm sure, ruining the opportunity that they passed over to get rid of Van Zyl on Friday evening when he was dropped at fourth slip by Ben Curran when he'd made 19. Total at that stage was 69. That would have been 69 for 5. I thought then that Northamptonshire might have been hoping about finishing the game off. Here's Berg in again, bowls to Brown, the right-hander outside the off stump. 3 slips in place for him, goes through to Adam Rossington, and there's no run, but not to be. And with the pitch starting to look a good deal flatter on Friday evening, as is often the case here at Northampton, these two played really well. Very little went past the bat. Excellent partnership. 87 so far. For the 5th wicket, coming together at 68 for 4 when Tom Clark was out. And they'll be looking to eat up as much of this final day as they can. Berg in again, bowls to Brown, who cuts that away, and that's the first boundary of the day. Beats the diving Thurston at backward point, crosses the rope, and that's 4 to Ben Brown, 34 to him. And Sussex up to 159 for 4. Worth also mentioning that of the 14 wickets that have been taken by Northamptonshire in this match so far, 7 have been taken by Ben Sanderson and 7 by Gareth Berg. So at some point they'll be hoping, presumably, that somebody other than Berg or Sanderson will actually get something in the W column.
So you're guaranteed that Sanderson will open from this end then?
Well, I think there's every chance, not least because he's grazing down on the boundary at long leg at the moment, so it would possibly tend to suggest that might be the case. Here's Berg in again, bowls to Brown, outside the off stump, good leave. It just shaped back in towards off stump, bounced over the top of off stump anyway, goes through to Rossington. End of the first over of the day with Van Zyl on 72, Brown is 34, Sussex 159 for 4. That means they still trail by 176.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I'm just going to have a little look now on this replay. Berg, he did just angle that last ball in, but there was some shape through the air, so it looked like he'd gone into Brown on that last ball after everything was away from him. So I'm sure the Northamptonshire bowlers will very quickly want to get into their work to see if this ball is shaping slightly. But left-hand, right-hand combination, good combination for Sussex. It's just going to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works for either of these two Northamptonshire bowlers to sort of settle in early, I would have thought.
That's strange. Well, Adrian's having that's one or two issues at the moment getting plugged in, so I'll just start this next over, and he's caught, and Ben Sanderson gets a wicket straight away around the line of off stump, and Stiaan van Zyl looking to drive, got an outside edge, it flew to first slip, and we're saying about some of the fallible catching in this game. Well, on this occasion it went straight into Ricardo Vasconcelos' hands and stayed there, and Sanderson picks up his 3rd wicket of the innings, his 8th wicket of the match, and that's just the start that Northamptonshire were hoping for. Van Zale goes for 72, caught Vasconcelos, bowled Sanderson, and Sussex 159 for 5.
Yeah, it was a poor shot, really, wasn't it? He didn't have to play at that. It was, I wouldn't say a loosener for pace by any stretch of the imagination from Sanderson, but he was just sort of like getting the ball in and out around that outside 5th, 6th off stump area. Yeah, I mean, it was an easy ball to let through, just to have a little look for this first half an hour of the morning. I can understand Sussex; they'll still want to try and accumulate through the session, because they'll want to get the lead down and start taking runs away from Northamptonshire this morning. But yeah, I think first ball from new bowler could have quite easily just let that one go through.
I think I'm okay now.
You are, yes.
Ben.
And that was entirely my fault, because I plugged you into the wrong hole.
You actually did say to me earlier, so I'm going to watch this.
But I've now plugged you in. I've got the wicket. I've plugged you into the right hole. You carry on.
Good news. Well, a very good morning to you both, and a very good morning to all our listeners. And I'm sure for our Sussex listeners, a hugely disappointing, second over, because Sussex would have been relying on Stian Van Zale, who's been in good form this season, a very fine 100 down at Cardiff a couple of weeks ago, and Sussex were really hoping upon hope that he and Ben Brown, who's incidentally playing his 150th first-class match, could have seen Sussex through to, just as long as possible, as Sanderson's in, bowls to Rawlins, let go outside the off stump by Rawlins, through to keeper Rossington, and there is no run.
So there is just a little bit of away swing there. So he is round the wicket to the left-hander here. I've just seen that again on that ball there to Rawlins. How Sanderson's looking to shape the ball away from the left-hander, which is going to make it a little bit tricky. The batsman's got to be ready here for the one that doesn't swing.
And there are 4 slips waiting for that edge. There's a point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a fine leg as Sanderson runs away from us. He's in and bowls, and Rawlins is solidly forward, a ball of good length. Plays it down the offside of the pitch, and there is no run. He's an attacking batsman, Delray Rawlins. Plays in all formats of the game, but this is an innings that needs something else, I guess. Ben, he's got to be very careful. He didn't play a very good shot in the first innings, but he won't want to just be prodding and poking around. There's too much of the day to go. But these are dangerous times for Sussex. Rawlins waits, Sanderson in bowls, and he lets that go outside the off stump, and there is no run. How would you expect a player who naturally likes to attack the bowling in this sort of situation?
I think the mentality for those players will still be to look to score, still be to look to hit the ball. It gets you in better positions at the crease for a start, but it also just puts the emphasis back on the bowler to say, well, I'm not just going to stand here and get bowled at for a day and let you nick me off because I'm going half-hearted.
Sanderson runs away from us for the pavilion in bowls. That's a short delivery, and Rawlins ducks underneath it, taken by Rossington high over his right shoulder, and there is no run.
But then you've obviously got to be very selective, and I'd have thought for the first half an hour of the day this morning, these two bowlers, like Rada was saying, they're Northamptonshire's best bowlers. You've got to show them some respect and get through these first initial spells.
Ben Sanderson runs away from us, bowls, and Rawlins lets that one pass by outside of the off stump. So a wicket maiden from Ben Sanderson to start his work here today, and the prize wicket of Stian Van Zale, who was caught by Ricardo Vasconcelos at slip for 72, a partnership of 91 between him and the skipper. And a real blow for Sussex early on this final day at Northampton. Actually, if you want to get in touch with us today, our email address is up and running, so sussexcricket@bbc.co.uk. If you're a Northants fan, a Sussex fan, whatever fan you are, send us an email, get in touch with Andrew, Ben and myself, or you could tweet us at Old Man Rad, I should say.
Old Man Rad.
Or at BBC Sussex Sports.
Like Old Man River. Berg in again, fielding a fresh over, and bowls this ball to Ben Brown, Sussex captain, who's solidly in behind that. Pushes it out on the offside, fielded by Rob Keogh, and there's no run. 3 slips in for Brown. Vasconcelos at first, who held the catch to dismiss Stian Van Zale in the previous over. Taylor in at second, and Ben Curran in at third, who probably feels a little bit happier now, having seen Van Zale, who he dropped on Friday night, now back in the pavilion. Berg in again, bowls to Brown outside the off stump, lets that go through to Adam Rossington, and there's no run. So the equation is that Sussex still trail by 176 runs. We have, what, in the day, 93 overs after this one. So the forecast is pretty good. There's just the chance of a shower coming in later, but it's very breezy. Quite a strong breeze coming up from the southwest, so coming from behind us as we sit in the Ken Turner stand, and Gareth Berg, having almost got to the bowling crease, then decides that something's not quite right, and he pulls out and starts to walk back to his mark. So one would imagine that if there are showers around, they're hopefully going to bowl through fairly quickly. But the first time we've really had a strong sort of southwesterly breeze on the ground this season. This is the third home match, and it's been pretty much exclusively northwest, and of course during the Kent match easterly as well, which brought the snow. And once this time Ben Brown pulls out and wanders away to square legs. I'm not entirely sure. What do you reckon? That's all in aid of, Ben?
No, I don't.
It's 1-1, I think, between batsman and bowler.
But I wouldn't have thought Brown would have done that on purpose, just because Berg pulled out on the first delivery. But was there something moving? Doesn't look like it, does it?
No, I don't think there's.
A bit of chatter, perhaps.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe.
Could be. There's certainly no spectators to be causing a problem, sadly. Here's Berg in, does bowl this time, and Brown cuts that away down to deep backward point. They've got Thurston out there on the boundary now sweeping, and that's just a single to Brown. He goes up to 35, and Sussex to 160 for 5. Full marks to the ground staff, who are they're at work very, very early this morning. I got to the ground certainly before 9 o'clock, and ground looked pretty much ready for play, and I think the umpires Neil Bainton and Paul Baldwin had a look fairly early on, and the decision was that it was absolutely fine to play as long as we didn't get any more rain between then and 11 o'clock, and we haven't. Now the field shaping up for the left-handed Rawlins, still the 3 slips. We've got a backward point. Zabe is in at a shortish extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg. Round the wicket comes Berg to the left-handed Rawlins, who squeezes that down on the offside, and it's fielded by Ben Sanderson. Doesn't often find himself at backward point, especially not when he's bowling, but he is at the moment.
Although he's impressed me with his fielding.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the new generation seam bowlers that's a good fielder as well, the sort of Jimmy Anderson type of mould.
Yes, I think we can probably all think of fast bowlers of a slightly earlier vintage who perhaps wouldn't have been quite as agile over the ground. Here's Berg in again, bowls to Rawlins, who drives nicely, but only as far as mid-off. Well, it's fielded by Luke Proctor, and there's no run. Yeah, Rawlins slightly gave it away in the first innings, when he was caught at slip, playing rather a wild swing. That was off the bowling of Gareth Berg. And we welcome listeners to BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. And here's Berg in again, bowls to Rawlins, who's in behind that, pushes it up on the offside. Bowler himself fields, and there's no run. End of that over. 160 for 5, Sussex, having lost a wicket off the first ball of the second over of the morning, when Stiaan van Zyl, who was 71 not out overnight, having added just a single to his score, was caught by Vasconcelos at first slip off bowling of Ben Sanderson. That was 72, 159 for 5. The partnership between Van Zyl and Brown realised 91 in 28 overs for the 5th wicket, but just the start to the day that Northamptonshire were hoping for.
So Ben Sanderson is going to take over, he's going to pick up the attack from the pavilion end of the ground. He's coming over the wicket to the Sussex skipper, the right-handed Ben Brown, with 3 slips, a backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a fine leg. Sanderson is in and bowls, and Brown lets that one go outside of the off stump, taken by keeper Rossington, and there is no run. Ben Smith sitting next to me there. I just wonder the responsibility that Ben Brown must feel here. He's a skipper at the side. You know, so much depends on Ben Brown here.
Yeah, it does. This is where the ability as a captain just to switch off from those duties and concentrate individually on your own performance is really key.
Sanderson runs away from us under cloudy skies, in and bowls, and again outside of the off stump, let go by Ben Brown, and the line that Ben Sanderson is bowling here. What does Ben Brown need to be careful about here in terms of just Sanderson moving the ball around a little?
Well, we've just seen a little bit of swing away from the left-hander, Rawlins, from Sanderson around the wicket to him. So I would have thought that Sanderson will look just to hang the ball slightly on that 4th, 5th off stump to Brown, and then maybe take the swing off on the odd occasion, try and hit him on the pads.
3 slips awaiting, 3 men saving one on the offside. Glimmer of sunshine as Sanderson is in, and again just slightly wide of the off stump, and again Brown is able to let that go through to Adam Rossington, and there is no run.
I think it would be more or less trying to just keep fetching Ben Brown across the crease, a little bit more as he swings the ball away into Rossington's gloves. He's obviously got the 3 slips there. If Brown did fancy having a bit of a flash of the ball there, it would help, but I would have thought his wicket-taking delivery will be the ball that doesn't swing away. Brown's left him very well so far.
Sanderson moves in bowls, and Brown just to a ball that was well pitched up, and he just steers that into the covers fielded there by Keogh, and there is no run. So 3 slips, a backward point, cover mid-off. There's a mid-on, a mid-wicket, and a fine leg all the way down in the distance. Quite a lot of cloud around, very few breaks in the crowd, but the cloud looks fairly high, and certainly the gentleman when I came in this morning said to me on the gate, "Oh, I think we'll be okay for the day, maybe a shower later." So we'll have to see.
Well, if he's a Northamptonshire supporter, it would be wishful thinking.
Sanderson again in and bowls, and Brown plays quietly to mid-wicket, and again there is no run. Ben Brown, as we were saying earlier, his 150th first-class appearance for Sussex. Averages 38, which is highly respectable, with 18 first-class hundreds. Skipper of the side, he won't give this up.
I think as long as he leaves well here and makes sure he plays the ball late when it doesn't swing, he's got to dig in.
Final ball of the over as Sanderson's on his way. Bowles, and Brown to a good delivery, pitching round about middle stump, and Brown steers that onto the onside. It's another maiden over from Ben Sanderson, who is straight in the groove this morning for Northamptonshire. 16 overs, 4 maidens, 3 for 49 for Ben Sanderson, 8 in the match for him. Sussex 160 for 5, Brown on 35, Rawlins yet to score, and Sussex needing another 175 to make Northamptonshire bat. Again, you're listening to live cricket here on 5 Live Sports Extra on BBC at Radio Sussex, BBC Northamptonshire. Myself, Adrian Harms, alongside Andrew Radd and Ben Smith.
It's going to be Gareth Berg, who's going to resume from the indoor centre end. He's picked up 5 wickets in the first innings, 2 in the second, and so far all 15 wickets that Northamptonshire have taken have been shared between Berg and Sanderson. 2 slips in place for Rawlins facing that ball. He's caught behind. His ball again just probing that line around about off stump, just outside. He pushed forward defensively, a little bit out of character. It found the edge. Adam Rossington took a straightforward catch, and the 2nd wicket of the morning for Northamptonshire. And once again, this record is being kept up now. 16 wickets in the match, all shared equally between Berg and Sanderson, 8 apiece. Rawlins goes without scoring. Caught Rossington, bowled Berg, and Sussex 160 for 6.
Yeah, again, it just set Rawlins up nicely there, Berg. He's round the wicket to the left-hander, and he has just got the ball to shape away from the left-hander. So in effect, he's bowling in swing to a right-hander, but from around the wicket to the lefty. I don't think Rawlins really got into that shot. He just sort of played him from the crease. Although he was playing him late, I think he could have got into the ball a little bit more. These guys, Sanderson, well, definitely Berg as well, they can bowl a skiddy delivery, but they're not really got pace. And as a batsman, I would have thought you'd line yourself up to play both of them off the front foot. Get a relatively good stride in, get yourself into the ball, and then if they bowl short, then you know you're comfortable with that. I'd rather be batting out there at the moment with these Northamptonshire bowlers bowling short at me. I think in a little bit more onto that question you asked me earlier, Adrian, about what's Ben Brown do now. A lot of responsibility on his shoulders. I think what he has to do is try to forge just a partnership, get through this. There's been 2 wickets together now. They've got to stop this rot of wickets falling. So if you can build a partnership here with Robinson, we've seen it before. I mean, Northamptonshire was 60 for 4 in their first innings.
Indeed.
So, it's not impossible, but it does look as though the conditions are... The wicket's been under the covers for a day.
Yes.
The ball has swung slightly against the seam, so maybe it's a little bit more in favour of the bowling side at the moment.
Well, Delray Rawlins sadly bags a pair in this match, and the first innings caught at first slip off Berg, second innings caught behind off Berg. Here's Ollie Robinson, played so well in the first innings for an unbeaten 49, coming in with Sussex 25 for 7. Here's Berg, 3 slips in place, bowls to Robinson, who plays that up on the onside, where it's fielded by century maker Safe Zabe in there at mid-wicket, and there's no run. I just wonder, Ben, whether we said about the shot that Rawlins played in the first innings, which was well, it was an interesting stroke in the circumstances, as I say, when they were at that stage 25 for 6, and when he edged it to slip they were 25 for 7, and it was a little bit of a swing, and I just wonder if that was in his mind, that he just didn't want to fall into that trap again, as Robinson's on the back foot this time, pushes it up on the offside where it's fielded by Rob Keogh, coming in at extra cover, and there's no run. Just get into a batsman's mind, can't it?
Yeah, definitely looked as though he wasn't really fully committed to that shot, and it just allowed the ball to shape away slightly more, and the deviation was greater off the surface. Think about it, if you can get a bit more into the ball and actually narrow the angle down of any movement, you're in a better position as a batsman. But he could have been in two minds, Radders, absolutely.
Here's Ollie Robinson facing Gareth Berg, who's solidly on the front foot, plays it back down the pitch, and Berg fields in his follow through, and there's no run. Yes, this is extraordinary. We're looking at various instances of bowlers having shared, the same two bowlers having shared 20 wickets in a match for a county. As far as Northamptonshire are concerned, the last instance I could find, without having gone through everything, was 5 years ago against Glamorgan, when it turned a lot, and Rob Keogh and Graham White shared 20 wickets on that occasion. Sun coming out now as Berg comes in, bowls to Robinson, who just stays on the back foot, pushes that up to mid-wicket where it's fielded by Zabe, and there's no run. Robinson, the first innings, played really well, 49 not out of 92 balls. He was, though, dropped 3 times. 3 of the 4 drops that Northamptonshire were guilty of in the first innings. And it is interesting that generally the catching, we've seen some good catches held, not least that one early on by Vasconcelos, but there have also been catching generally on both sides has been pretty fallible in this game. Sussex spilled a few. Now, with 1 ball left in the over, 2 men being dispatched out, deep mid-wicket and a deep backward point, as Berg comes in, bowls, and that bounces a little bit, even with the older ball, and Robinson plays it well. Good judgment, lets it go through to Adam Rossington, gets the bat out of trouble. End of the over, 160 for 6, Brown is 35, Robinson 0, and Sussex this morning have lost Van Zale for 72, and Rawlins without scoring.
Yeah, a little bit of bounce there, wasn't there? I think that might be something to do with just the freshness of the pitch. Like I mentioned earlier, that it has been under covers obviously over the last day or so, so I would have thought there's just going to be a little bit of life in there for the Northamptonshire bowlers. Yeah, I don't know with the catching side of things whether it's whether when the wicket here, typically over the few games I've been here watching Radders, has flattened out and gone quiet at times through the innings. Maybe as fielders you switch off, don't expect it.
Well, Ben Sanderson, with figures of 3 for 49, 8 wickets in the match, runs away from us, comes on and bowls to the Sussex skipper Ben Brown, who steers that into the offside and picks up a single fielded there by Keogh, and Brown goes to 36 and Sussex to 161 for 6, still needing another 174 if they're going to make Northamptonshire bat again. A glimmer of light, perhaps Ollie Robinson, as Andrew was saying, he batted very nicely for his 49 in the first innings, 49 not out. He's made 2 half-centuries this season as well. He's got a first-class 100 to his name, so he knows how to bat, Ollie Robinson, but it's a long haul from here for Sussex. As Sanderson, number 26 on the back of his shirt, runs away from us, bowls to Robinson, who plays that very comfortably into the onside. He picks up a single, fielder comes running in from fine leg to field. And Ollie Robinson is on his way, 162 for 6. We were talking about Ollie Robinson quite a lot this week, mainly for his bowling, because he was by a long chalk the best Sussex bowler, and much talk about him around the England setup. And you know, I'm sure his batting prowess that can only help him, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if he becomes a bowling all-rounder, he's even a stronger suit then to be picked for the next level up.
2 slips in place. I'll give you the rest of the field in a minute as Sanderson in bowls to Brown, and Brown steers that nicely down towards third man. There'll be still a couple of runs here for Brown. There may even be 3, but I think they will settle for 2. Good bit of fielding down in the distance, right down at the far end of the ground by the indoor school, and a relay as the throw comes in, but Ben Brown picks up another couple of runs. He goes to 38, and Sussex to 164 for 6.
Well, he certainly has developed brilliantly as a seam bowler. Some of the returns he's had over the last 2 or 3 years have been outstanding. So
yeah.
If he can back it up with his batting and fielding, then it's only going to help him.
3 men saving 1 on the offside. 2 slips go down. Sonson in and bowls, and Brown is solidly in behind that delivery. Plays it into the covers, and there is no run. A mid-on, a mid-wicket, a deep mid-wicket, and a fine leg all the way down to the distance. Yes, I mean, he bowled beautifully down to Glamorgan on a very flat deck a few weeks ago, and the one game Sussex have won in the Championship so far. It took 9 for 78 in the second innings, and that was a superb bit of bowling. But Ben Brown was saying he almost wishes that he could have Ollie bowling from both ends sometime. He's been that good. As has Ben Sanderson and Gareth Berg, of course, and that's down the leg side. A short delivery from Sanderson, who has been noted, but he's made the batsman almost play at everything this morning. They've very much been a feature, I think, of the Northamptonshire bowling throughout the match. That they haven't given the Sussex batsmen a lot of peace.
No, well, I think that's with the pace that these 2 bowlers bowl as well. They need to be at the batsman all the time. They've got excellent control. They've shown it unreal control for the 5 games they've played this season already.
A glimmer of sunshine across the ground, which is welcome as Sanderson runs in and bowls, and Brown tucks this nicely off the hip down to a fine leg, picks up another single, does the Sussex skipper, and he will retain the strike. He goes to 39, and Sussex to 165 for 6, resuming this morning on 154 for 4. They've already lost 2 wickets this morning. Steen Van Zyl in the second over of the day for 72. And Delray Rawlings without troubling the scorers. Sussex needing another 170 if they're going to make Northamptonshire bat again.
I think just looking at the way these 2 have shaped up, the 2 batsmen, Robinson and Brown, this morning. Brown, a great lesson for any young batsman who wants to know how to play the swinging ball. Brown's played any ball that's been full really late under his eyes, allowed the ball to swing, got into good strong positions, waiting for width to try and score off to keep the scoreboard ticking.
And it's going to be Gareth Berg, who so far in the innings has picked up 3 for 46, and he's in bowls to Brown, who's right in behind that one. He's plays it up on the onside, and it's fielded by Ben Curran, and there's no run. 2 slips in, and then 2 men out. He's got a deep backward point and a deep mid-wicket, and then saving 1 extra cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a long leg down to the boundary in front of the signal box. Ben Sanderson. Tom Taylor just going through a few loosening up exercises at second slip, so he might be in the attack soon. Here's Berg again, very full length this time, and it's just driven without any great power up to mid-off, and there's no run. I think one of the big talking points of this match as far as Northamptonshire are concerned has been the batting in the Northamptonshire first innings of Saif Zaib, 22 years old, scoring his maiden first-class century, 135, played very well, and this means he's contributed with the bat in each of the last 3 games. Here's Berg in again, bowls down the leg side, and this is going to be runs for Sussex. If not for Ben Brown, it's signalled as byes by umpire Neil Bainton, so it was full length, it went away down the leg side. Adam Rossington dived away to his left but couldn't get anything on it, and it rattles the boundary boards in front of us, in front of the Ken Turner stand. 4 on the total, 169 for 6 Sussex now, so 166 runs behind. And I did rather enjoy the picture of that Saif Zaib was telling us about, of his father, who's a GP, who was doing a COVID vaccination clinic on Friday morning while he was closing in on 100. Here's Berg in again. Bowles big appeal for LBW, and he's out. And that's a huge wicket in terms of Northamptonshire looking to win this match. Brown coming across his stumps, and it looked a reasonably good shout. We'll have a look at it on the replay, but big appeal from Berg, and umpire Neil Bainton with no hesitation, and sending Ben Brown on his way. He goes LBW to Gareth Berg for 39 and Sussex 169 for 7.
Yeah, and this isn't a told you so, but you could just see how the two bowlers have set Ben Brown up there. He was playing really well when the ball was swinging away, playing it late, letting it come under his eyes. If it was back of a length, being able to score and keep the scoreboard ticking in that way. But I mentioned earlier about, I got a feeling that the wicket-taking delivery would be the ball that didn't swing, that was back into the batsman. And that's exactly what's happened there. I think Ben Brown was waiting on the crease a little bit too long for an away swinger, and it didn't swing away. It just whether Berg's just taken the swing off the ball or whether it is a genuine in-swinger. I don't think it was a genuine in-swinger. I think what actually is the more dangerous ball on days like this is when the ball's shaping away from the right-hander. You can play the swinging ball easy enough because these guys spend hours knowing where their off stump is and letting the ball go through. It's the ball that doesn't actually swing. Doesn't have to be the big booming in-swinger. At some stage, a big booming in-swinger as a batsman, you can sort of pick up that something's not right or something's different. Where it's the subtle change-up of where halfway down the ball doesn't keep swinging away, it just carries on into your pads.
Well, another terrific knock for his side from Ben Brown. Was in there 2¼ hours, faced 101 balls, hit 5 fours for his 39, but he's on his way. Berg's 4th wicket of the innings and his 9th in the match, and still 17 wickets down, and still nothing for anyone who isn't called Berg or Sanderson, which is remarkable.
Yeah,
but considering Tom Taylor probably not quite at his best in Northamptonshire's first innings. He's bowled well, I think, this year, particularly at Headingley, without necessarily a lot of reward to show for it in the scorebook. And Parnell didn't bowl a great deal, bowled 6 overs. And you have to say, to be fair to Sussex in particular, that the conditions on the first day were very much in favour of the seamers early on. It did do a lot in the early stages. 2 slips in place. Stuart Meeker is the new batsman facing this ball from Gareth Berg, full length, drives it up to mid-off, and there's no run. The sun out now, pleasant enough morning. But then again, Northamptonshire also hit their own little crisis point. It was 60 for 4 in reply, but then he had a couple of really important partnerships. Rob Keogh making 66 and Zabe, they put on 88 for the 5th wicket, and then 198 between Zabe and Rossington. Here's Bergen again, 3 slips in place now. Meeker drives, doesn't time it at all, goes off a thick inside edge. He was aiming for extra cover, it dribbled up to mid-wicket. End of the over, Meeker yet to get off the mark. Ollie Robinson's made 1, and Sussex 169 for 7. And having resumed this morning at 154 for 4, they've lost 3 wickets in quick succession. Van Zale for 72, Rawlins for 0, Brown for 39, 2 this morning for Berg and 1 for Sanderson.
Yeah, just going a little bit off sort of topic of the wicket that's just fallen, I was actually wondering then, it must be quite difficult for Rossington keeping wicket to these 2 bowlers because they're so very accurate, and when one ball does just get sort of shoved down the leg side, a genuine down the leg side delivery, he's really not going to be expecting it, is he?
No, it's right enough, and he's had a bit of finger trouble as well in the last week or 2. Here's Sanderson starting another over, bowling outside the off stump to Ollie Robinson, who just lets it go through to the aforementioned Adam Rossington, and there's no run. Yes, I mean he missed the game at Headingley after damaging the finger. I think we were on duty for that one when he just dropped a catch on the last day against, or the penultimate day, wasn't it, against Glamorgan?
Against Glamorgan, yeah.
And had to go off, and then missed the game against Yorkshire at Headingley. Came back in this one, and then got a nasty crack on the right index finger, which was the other hand, while he was batting, which caused him a certain amount of discomfort for a while. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls to Robinson, drives nicely. I think he's going to get 4 runs here. It's going out towards the cover boundary. Zabe is in hot pursuit, and he does brilliantly, absolutely lightning over the ground, and flicks that back and saved a couple of runs. Just managed to pull it back inside the rope in front of the west stand, and Robinson goes through for a couple, 3 to him, and 171 for 7. Yes, I mean at one point when Rossington picked up that injury, we were sort of slightly wondering if he'd carry on, because there was a long delay and the physio was on, and you could see for 3 or 4 overs afterwards, Sanderson comes in, bowls to Robinson, just lets that go through outside the off stump, seamed away, and he did well again to just drop his hands and keep the bat out of harm's way. And there was a thought that maybe he might have been forced to come off, but he battled through it. And it was very important, I think, that he was out there, Ben, with safe save as he closed in on 100. I think he was just absolutely the right man, and Safe himself, when I was talking to him afterwards, the close of play on Friday, said exactly that it was very useful having his captain there. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls to Robinson, in behind that very solidly, plays it back down the pitch for Sanderson himself to field, and there's no run. But I did enjoy the image of Safe's dad, Sajid, being there, giving the COVID vaccinations, and his son. I think they probably did have the stream on in the surgery.
Yeah, he wasn't punching the air with both fists while the needle was hanging out of someone's arm, was he?
I'm sure he wasn't. He was very much more professional than that. But great moment for the family. Here's Robinson coming right across his stumps to that ball from Sanderson, plays it up towards mid-wicket, where there's a 12th man on. It's one of the academy players, and Freddie Heldrick was fielding from the academy earlier on in the week. I don't think that's Freddie, actually, unless he's had a haircut. Might be.
Is Berg come off for an over?
Yeah, I'm just having a look at I can't see him out there. Yes, I can. He's at second slip.
Yeah.
So somebody else has wandered off. There's Sanderson in again and bowls short, and that's pulled away by Ollie Robinson out towards the boundary, and he's going to cross the rope and pick up 4 runs as it goes down there across the rope in front of the main scoreboard here. Short ball, he latched onto it, pulled it away. He goes up to 7, 175 for 7 Sussex, which means they still trail by 160. Robinson 7, Meeker yet to get off the mark.
Yeah, just looking at the overs left in the day and the calculations, and I'm thinking sort of like as a run rate of, let's say, 3 and over. Sussex have got to bat for 60 overs pretty much just to even start thinking about pulling enough away from Northamptonshire for going into the last hour. So I would, obviously you look at a situation like this and think there is actually no comeback, but it's interesting to know whether batsmen are out there thinking, right, let's just bat for 60, 70 overs because that's a hell of an ask, or do you just bat, play your own game, and not if you get lucky, but if your just concentration levels are high enough for a session, 10 over block, 5 over block, wonder whether they're actually just breaking it down into smaller chunks to try and chip away at the sessions.
And welcome back to listeners to 5 Live Sports Extra, who I think are back with us.
And Gareth Berg is going to come running in from the indoor school end of the ground. He's got 9 wickets in the match, 4 in this innings. He's coming running in to bowl to the right-handed Stuart Meeker, and Meeker covers up. It's a ball pitching just outside of off stump and plays it straight back down the track, fielded by Berg. And there is no run. So just for people who are joining us, Sussex resuming this morning on 154 for 4. They're now 175 for 7. And 3 of their prime batsmen back in the pavilion. Stian Van Zyl in the second over for 72. Delray Rawlings for a duck. Now that's a pair for Delray. And Ben Brown, the skipper, for 39. In comes Berg, bowls to Meeker, who works this nicely down to fine leg. And Stuart Meeker is on his way. Sussex to 176 for 7. And Sussex needing another 159 to make Northamptonshire bat again. And I just wonder, Ben, whether that's maybe almost playing your own game is the way to do this, really, because it's an awful long time to bat when you're right down to numbers 8 or 9 in the batting order.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably the better option is to try and go up in 5s or 10s in the total column rather than looking at the overs ticking down.
Berg is on his way, bowls to Robinson, who plays this nicely through the offside. That's going to be 4 runs from Ollie Robinson. Too much width from Gareth Berg, and Robinson, who's a tall man, steered that away through backward point and picks up another boundary. He goes to 11. Sussex to 180 for 7. He was Sussex's top scorer in the first innings, and a total of 106. He made 49 not out. And he's in good form with the bat, as we were saying earlier, having made a couple of half centuries already this season.
I just think probably with the mentality of the lower order that he's batting with, maybe make it into a realistic run chase rather than just blocking out 80 overs.
2 slips awaiting. Berg is in. Bowles and Robinson clips this one away over mid-wicket, and that's going to be 4 more runs, I think, or is it going to be caught on the boundary? No, it just dribbles over the rope. Good effort there, down in the distance. Didn't quite see who that was. Dive, save. Very good effort indeed, but Robinson, big left foot down the wicket, just punched the ball over mid-wicket for 4 runs.
Yeah, he's actually shown a lot of intent with that shot. That doesn't surprise me, but I think I was just talking about then, just trying to put more of a positive spin on the day's cricket here for Sussex, actually looking to get up and level with Northants would be a good achievement.
Robinson to 15. Berg on his way again, Bowles, and Robinson is forward. Good delivery from Gareth Berg. I just wonder as well from the bowler's point of view, Ben, whether the bowlers think to himself, well, actually we've got plenty of runs in the bank. I'm quite happy to see him going on the attack here.
Yeah, I think so, and it'll just hopefully force an error from the batsman. It'll just mean that the opportunities will come and will arise. I think apart from Van Zijl's shot this morning, both other wickets were from decent deliveries. I wouldn't say that the first wicket of the day particularly was. Berg here, again, just hitting good areas, making the ball talk.
He's on his way. Glimmer of sunshine across the ground. Bowles to Robinson, who thought about driving that one through the offside and then decided not to. Pulled the bat out of the way, and there is no run. So the end of another very good, accurate over from Gareth Berg. Although you'd go for a couple of 4s, but Ollie Robinson going on the attack, but he's always asking questions of the batsman, is Gareth Berg. 184 for 7, Robinson on 15. Stuart Meeker is on 1. Sussex still needing 151 to make Northamptonshire bat again.
Brad, as you were saying earlier about Saif Zaib and his first class 100, it's a great example that of David Ripley showing faith in his players.
Yes.
And sticking with him. You know, I've known Zaif, sort of seen him bat in club cricket and around the traps, and I take a keen interest in county cricket, and it's always been the sort of bits and pieces, in and out player. 4 or 5 years now, you probably correct me on that, but it's great to see that sort of faith that he's installed in him pay off. Yeah,
it's important, but we'll come back onto that as Sanderson starts a fresh over, bowls outside the off stump to Stuart Meeker, who just drops the hands, lets it go through outside the off stump to Adam Rossington. There's no run. Yes, I mean, we're obviously looking up at Saif Zaib's career. This is, I think, his 24th first class match, and he actually played for Northamptonshire. He's 22 now, he's 23 later this month. And he actually made his first team debut for Northamptonshire when he was still only 15, just short of his 16th birthday, in a match against Durham University, which wasn't a first class match. As Sanderson comes in again, bowls outside the off stump. Meeker lets it go through to Rossington, and there's no run. And since then, he's been, in and out of the Red Bull side. I think the highest number of games he's played in a season, championship games in a season, was 7. That was in 2018. I think there was possibly in some people's minds they were tending to pigeonhole him a little bit as a white ball player. He obviously likes to play his shots. Brilliant fielder, as we've seen this morning, and can bowl some handy left arm spin. Here's Sanderson running away from us. Bowls once again to Meeker, full length, and Meeker's in behind that, pushes it up to mid off, where it's fielded by Luke Proctor, and there's no run. And he, I think, he came into the side up at Old Trafford against Lancashire this season and had not a great game up there, but in Northamptonshire and David Ripley in particular have shown, as you say, some faith in him, and he's made important contributions in each of the last 3 matches now with the bat. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls outside the off stump. Meeker lets that go through to Rossington, and there's no run against Glamorgan. Coming in again with Northamptonshire in trouble. It was 76 for 5, replying to 407. Zaib made 40, put on 126 with his captain, got out clubbing a full toss to mid-on, which he was absolutely mortified about. Then up at Headingley, in very much a bowler's match and a very tight game, he made an important 55 in the first innings, 25 in the second, again in big partnership with Tom Taylor in that first innings. And then obviously 135 here. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls, and that's on leg stump, and Meeker is going to pick up a run as he turns that away down to long leg, where it's fielded by Charlie Thurston coming in off the boundary, and Meeker goes up to 2, and Sussex to 185 for 7. And what impressed me, and I think Adrian was obviously watching as well, what impressed me in particular was, as I say, he had Rossington in with him as he was nearing the 100, and he almost like talked him through to the century, I think. And then, having got to 100, then Northamptonshire were looking to push on, and he then unveiled his full panoply of strokes, and it was very, very good stuff to watch. There's Sanderson in again, bowls to Robinson, who chops that hard into the ground, and the aforementioned save makes a good stop at backward point, and cuts off any chance of a single. End of another over from Sanderson, and Mika is 2, Robinson 15. Sussex 185 for 7, still 150 runs behind.
Yes, and you just on that, you'd like to think now that there's probably a lot of learning gone on for Safe in those 20, did you say 24, 26 games?
24, this is 24.
And then just to get over the line, it'd be a lot of relief. There'd probably be a little bit of a monkey off the back, not can I get 100, can I get to 3 figures? And that's what you talk about as a batsman, centuries, and how many games can you win for your team. Now, he's probably contributed and won a few games for Northamptonshire within those 24, but to get 100 for his own confidence and his own well-being, hopefully now you'll really see him kick on.
Well, it's going to be Gareth Berg who's going to carry on from the indoor score end under cloudy skies now in Northampton. Down the leg side, Stuart Meeker attempting to glide that down to fine leg, doesn't make contact, goes through to skipper Rosington behind the stumps, and there is no run. A very good morning wherever you're listening to around the UK, in Sussex or Northamptonshire or wider afield. Here on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Northampton and 5 Live Sports Extra, the news that Sussex have already lost 3 wickets here this morning in this desperate attempt to save the game. Van Zyl for 72, Rawlins without scoring, and Brown for 39, as in comes Gareth Berg, who's picked up 4 of the wickets to 4, bowls to Stuart Meeker, and Meeker tucks inside the line and plays that pleasantly enough down to third man, and the ball's going to race away over the outfield, which despite being very wet yesterday, the ball has zipped away for 4 runs to Stuart Meeker. Meeker goes to 6, Sussex to 189 for 7, still needing another 146 runs to win. You were talking about the overs that are left, Ben. I mean, there's another 26 overs away from the new ball. I just wonder, so much we've spoken this season about after the first 30 overs, it becomes more difficult for the bowlers and easier for the batsmen, although you wouldn't have thought that the way Northamptonshire have bowled this morning.
No, absolutely. I think they've got a little bit of the conditions as well after the rain from yesterday.
Here comes Berg, bowls, and Meeker plays nicely into the offside. A good tumbling save by Thurston on a bit of matting on one of the wickets to be used in a future date, and there is no run. The commentary here today, myself, Adrian Harmer, alongside Andrew Radd from BBC Northamptonshire, and Ben Smith, former Leicestershire and Worcestershire player, sitting next to us. Delighted to have Ben with us as Berg turns at the far end of the ground. He's running in with 2 slips, bowls, and Meeker drives nicely to mid-on, and there is no run.
I suppose the other way of looking at it as well is the 2 seamers they've bowled. These 2 guys have played every championship game this year.
No, Gareth Berg missed the game at Old Trafford.
Okay, but they've played plenty of cricket between themselves. Good example of getting into a rhythm, getting overs under your belt. They've both got very economical and efficient bowling actions as well.
Berg again bowls to Meeker, a shorter delivery, and Meeker had to wait for the umpire signal. I think he got a bit of bat on that. We'll wait. No, it's a leg by, signalled by umpire Bainton at the far end of the ground. The ball dribbled down towards fine leg at such a slow speed that Adam Rosington was able to come from behind the stumps and field 1 more to the total, 190 for 7.
And they've also, on top of that, they've had a day off, so they've actually been able to put their feet up.
Yep.
Come out and be fresher, and at the sort of stage, especially where Berg is in his career, a day off with overs under your belts, really, really essential, really.
Yeah, 40 years of age, Gareth Berg is in and bowls, and Robinson says it's nice. That's going to be another boundary for Ollie Robinson. Ball races away across the outfield. Having said that, is Thurston going to get there? No, he's not. Just slightly short and wide outside the off stump, and Robinson just helped that way through backward point and picked up another boundary. Well, Ollie Robinson was certainly the pick of the Sussex bowling, and he's almost proving the pick of the Sussex batsman. Here he goes to 19, and famous last words, he looks largely untroubled. 194 for 7, Sussex needing another 141 to avoid an innings defeat.
Yes, he's playing with a lot of time, isn't he? He's letting the ball come, playing the ball late. He's more of a So when Ben Brown and Ollie Robinson were batting together, Ben Brown was more of a sort of a punchy, use the crease, get right forward, right back type of player, where Ollie Robinson, I suppose with his stature and his height, sort of stands tall at the crease, doesn't make too much of a commitment either forward or back, but just play the ball late, and he's in control of his shots this morning for sure.
Ben Sanderson running in to start his 20th over of the innings, bowls short to Stuart Meeker, who ducks underneath that. It goes through to Adam Rossington, and there's no run. Sanderson had a frustrating start to the season for him. The first 6 innings he bowled in, he took 1 wicket in each of them, and it seemed as though for a while he was destined never to get more than 1 wicket in innings. And he picked up 2 in each innings up at Headingley, including Adam Lyth for the first ball of the game. And here he said he just feels it's to use his phrase, which I'll come back to in a second, as he comes in, bowls outside the off stump, and Stuart Meeker lets that go through. Definite little bit of shape away from the right-hander as it went into Rossington's gloves. But he said, when I spoke to him after the first day, he's just waiting for it to click. And he said it in this game, albeit in helpful conditions in the first innings, when he bowled 15.2 overs, 4 maidens, 5 for 28. He said it just did click. And his record, of course, in the last 6 seasons of first ball cricket, red ball cricket, has been outstanding. That ball finds Meeker playing on the back foot down to backward point, where it's fielded by Safe Sabe, and there's no run. Yes, 200 in his first 5 seasons with Northamptonshire, 238 wickets in 5 seasons of red ball cricket. 32 years old now, of course. It was 10 years ago that he was released by Yorkshire, and took another 4 years to come back into county cricket. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls short. Meeker ducks underneath it, goes through to Adam Rossington, and there's no run. Worked as a builder for part of that time, played a bit of minor counties cricket, club cricket, and then Northamptonshire took a look at him, liked what they saw, and the rest, as they say, is history. And Phil Rowe was saying, looking at English qualified seam bowlers in red ball cricket over the last few years, Sanderson comes in, bowls to Meeker outside the off stump, and he lets that go through to Rossington. That you're looking at Sanderson and Ollie Robinson really as among probably 2 of the 3 or 4 very best in terms of consistency, doing it week in, week out in red ball cricket. Stiff breeze still blowing pretty much down the ground from the south, from over the back of the Ken Turner stand, so it's behind Sanderson as he runs in again and bowls full length and beats him outside the off stump, and he's caught behind, found the outside edge. Good ball from Sanderson again, plugging away on that line. That was a little bit closer to Stuart Meeker than the previous 2 deliveries, drew him into a forward stroke, took the outside edge. It goes through to Adam Rossington. Umpire Paul Baldwin lifts the finger, and Meeker goes for 6. Caught Rossington, bowled Sanderson, and Sussex are 194 for 8.
Yeah, that's a very good delivery. That's challenging any right-handed batsman's forward defence. You've got to be right on top of your game to deal with deliveries like that. Stuart Meeker again probably wasn't quite into the ball as much as he could be. I've been surprised this morning that the Sussex batsmen haven't wanted to maybe bat outside the crease a little bit more, maybe get in towards the ball a little bit more, force Rossington to come and stand up, especially to Berg. But on the flip side to that, admittedly the pitch does look as though it's gone through with a little bit more pace and bounce than the other games I've watched here. So fantastic cricket wicket, because there's enough in it for the bowler and a little bit of pace of the ball coming onto the bat as well. Just something I think I might have just picked up there with Sanderson. He's sort of bowled quite a lot of round arm deliveries, fairly lower arm, and they've tended to be the balls that have swung away slightly from the right hander, from the channel, and gone wider. That ball then, he was very much more over the top, directed in towards off stump. So maybe that's something he's looking to do, swing it away with the lower arm and then get his arm up higher and target the stumps for an LB.
Well, 4 for 61 for Sanderson, Berg 4 for 63, and at the match aggregate so far, Berg 9, Sanderson 9.
Well, never say never in cricket, but Sussex really are. We've got a mountain to climb here. Ollie Robinson is still there. Jack Carson, young 20-year-old off-spinner, perfectly capable with the bat, but it's an awful long way for Sussex to go from here. I wonder what Robinson's tactics will be. In fact, I think it's almost as if Northamptonshire have decided that the tactic is that Ollie Robinson is going to have a bit of a dart. They're going to certainly give him the single. I'll describe the field in a few moments' time as Berg is racing in from the indoor school end, comes in and bowls, and Robinson runs that nicely down to third man. I think he's going to pick up another boundaries, Ollie Robinson.
Clever shot.
That's a very fine shot, and he played it very easily as well, just waited for the ball and just played it very late down to third man for another boundary. He goes to 23.
That's just such good sort of like game awareness, that is. There's no third man, there's a deep backward point. Berg bowling through the channel, and Robinson, he's not really gone hard at a ball apart from that ball he hit over mid-wicket earlier on in the day, and he just let the ball glance off the bat down to third man.
When he talked to Ollie Robinson when he began sort of in junior cricket down in Kent, he was a batsman and an off-spinner, but primarily a batsman. As in comes Berg and bowls, and Robinson is forward to a ball pitching around about off stump and just plays it onto the leg side to mid-on, and there is no run.
I can remember being part of Leicestershire's coaching setup. It might have even been in 2014, 13-14. Ollie Robinson came up and trialled in the second team game.
Right, yeah.
For Leicestershire, as a batsman.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he made his debut for Sussex in 2015, so that right. Timing's about right, Ben.
Yeah.
As in comes Berg again, bowls, and Robinson drives straight down the ground. A good tumbling stop down in the distance at mid-on by, I think that's Parnell down there. And there is no run.
Definitely, yeah, it was definitely, I would have said 13, probably not 14, but around that time, one of those 2 seasons.
Yeah. And then in his debut for Sussex at Durham, he made 100.
Yeah.
Batting at number 9. Berg again. Over the wicket bowls. Oh, Robinson is forward. He played that quite late down to mid-on, and Parnell is encouraging Ollie Robinson to take the single, but he's not to be tempted. And interestingly, as he's then developed into this very fine bowler, he talks, he suddenly gets annoyed with himself. He doesn't feel he scores enough runs.
Yeah.
I just wonder whether perhaps being around England in the winter has just made him concentrate a little bit more on his batting. I mean, he's going to be the side to bowl. That's
yeah.
But it does help if you can show you can score runs. The fielders come in now for Robinson to prevent the single, as in comes Berg and bowls, and that's down the leg side, and he looks heavenwards, Ollie Robinson. It was a slanting away, and he was looking to tuck that one down to fine leg.
Berg's probably thrown one down the leg side. He might go bounce the next ball just to keep the new batter on strike. Maybe he's still got a short ball up his sleeve. But
2 slips, backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, square leg and a fine leg. Final ball of the over as in comes Berg and bowls, and Robinson plays that quietly to mid-wicket, and there is no run. End of the over, Sussex 198 for 8. Carson yet to score. Ollie Robinson is on 23.
Yeah, so with Ollie Robinson then, Adrian, he's what sort of he's sort of just above medium pace, isn't he? He's medium fast.
I would, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And you know, the Sussex feel that he's almost put a yard of pace on as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that he really needed to do, especially at international level.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's probably thinking as well, the pace he bowls at international level, he has to be very, very accurate or move the ball laterally. So having a skill as a batsman as well, being able to bowl like that and bat, has got to be good for his development and in him playing in the next level up. If you just bowl medium pace in international cricket, you're going to come a day when you're probably not going to be able to perform.
Here's Sanderson in again, bowls outside the off stump to Jack Carson, who's away with a boundary. Carved that away through backward point, wide of the slip cordon, and it runs down to third man for 4. And that's the 200 up for Sussex. Carson away 4 to him, 202 for 8. So the deficit still 133 runs. That's what Sussex need to make Northamptonshire bat again. They have a couple of wickets in hand, but it's been a good morning for Northamptonshire. So we're a little bit frustrated on Friday afternoon. 154 for 4 at the close. And certainly it's one of the reasons why Northamptonshire was so keen to get out yesterday. They were saying, well, if we can just start at 4:30, get out for an hour and a half or so, just give us a chance to break that partnership between Van Zale and Brown. Here's Sanderson in again, and once again Carson runs that down wide of the slip cordon. He's not going to get 4 this time. It's running down towards the boundary, and safe save. Coming down, running down from backward point. Completes the fielding, but they're through for a couple. 6 to Carson. 204 for 8. And in the end yesterday, it never really stopped. It was heavy for a time in the morning, and then from sort of lunchtime onwards it became much more drizzly, but they was just doing too much to get on, and them continuing to be fairly drizzly for most of the rest of the day in Northamptonshire. Sanderson and again beats Carson outside the off stump. Well, I'm not quite sure how you play that, to be honest, but just angled in, shaped away, beat the outside edge and went through to Adam Rossington. And Ben Sanderson is talking about it clicking. It's just right in the groove here. 9 wickets in the match to him so far, 4 in this second innings. Would dearly love a 10-wicket haul, I'm sure, in the match. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls to Carson nicely in behind that, pushes it up on the offside, where it's fielded by Rob Keogh, who, having dropped a couple in the slip cordon, I think he's got a bit of a damaged finger, has been moved out of the slips. Well, this sort of the latter part of the Sussex first innings, and in this second innings, so he's found himself in the covers. Good fielder anywhere. So just a couple have gone down at second slip, so maybe he's just feeling that finger. I think it might have been where he got hit on the hand trying to take a return catch a couple of games ago. That's a short ball, and Carson dabs it down on the offside, and it's fielded by Zabe, and there's no run. And having fielded it, Zabe is then dispatched out to the cover boundary. Ben Curran is dispatched out to the boundary at deep mid-wicket, and Northamptonshire obviously just looking to give Carson the single with 1 ball to go in the over. Keep Ollie Robinson away from the strike, but there's 3 slips in place as Sanderson running in from this pavilion end. Bowls again to Carson, who drives, and they've taken the single as it goes up to Luke Proctor at mid-off. He had to make ground round to his left of field, but they take the single, so confidence in Carson from Robinson. Carson is 7, Robinson 23, Sussex 205 for 8, still 130 runs behind.
Yeah, I think you've just used the word confidence there, Radders. I think that's a big part of how Sussex have got probably one chance to get out of this game, and that is that, you know, the batsmen are confident, they feel comfortable at the crease. They're not just standing getting bowled out. Like I mentioned earlier, they are scoring. There's nothing better as a batsman to keep scoring, to keep yourself moving, the scoreboard ticking over, your runs column going up and up and up. And it's probably not a bad thing to do this if like Carson's just played a very, you know, respectable drive there through up to mid-off for a single. Let him have it. Let him take the run and keep his confidence high and keep him moving.
We've got a change of bowling. Is that Taylor coming on?
It is Tom Taylor, yeah. From the indoor school end. So Gareth Berg out of the attack. So an opportunity here for Taylor to maybe take away the honours from Berg and Sanderson. In comes Taylor, bowls and driven by Carson. A wide delivery, plays without timing into the covers, fielded by Keogh. And there is no run. Does Adam Rossington have no sense of history? Gareth Berg, to be fair, he's bowled for an hour this morning, hasn't he, from that top end? So, and he's picked up another couple of wickets this morning, so he's doing okay.
A little more heavier cloud around Northampton now, but relatively high as in comes Taylor and bowls, and all played uppishly by Carson. If there'd been a short extra cover, he would have been out, but there wasn't, and Carson survived. Still 3 slips, backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. And a fine leg here on BBC Radio Northampton, BBC Radio Sussex, and listeners on 5 Live Sports Extra with the news that Northampton just needing a couple more wickets here to wrap up their 2nd county championship win of the season. Sussex needing 130 more if they're going to make Northamptonshire bat again. The 3 slips go down, and Taylor comes running in towards us, past umpire Baton and bowls, and Carson is on the back foot and plays that firmly into the covers. And there is no run. Sussex resuming this morning on 154 for 4, but a massive blow when in the second over Ben Sanderson accounted for Stian van Zyl, the South African, who was caught at slip for 72. Delray Rawlings followed fairly shortly afterwards for a duck, And when the skipper Ben Brown went LBW for 39, you almost felt the game was up for Sussex. Ollie Robinson leaning on his bat at the non-striker's end is on 23 as in comes Taylor running into bowl to Carson, who drives nicely through the offside, but a good bit of fielding in the covers by Keogh prevents a single, and there is no run. I did get sent an article which I'll have to find from because Jack Carson growing up in Northern Ireland, and he has scored runs in junior cricket. Someone sent me a cutting, he'd scored 100 in a match somewhere, so he's this is a slightly different kettle of fish, I suspect, but he's clearly knows how to hold a bat, and he's battling away for his county. Taylor bowls, and Carson's beaten. That's a good delivery by Taylor, and Carson just perhaps playing down the wrong line through to keeper Rosington, and there is no run.
Yeah, just probably again could have got a bit more of a stride in, couldn't he have got himself or top half more into the ball. Still feeling for it a little bit when the ball's in good areas, but that's why he's batting where he's batting. He's not quite equipped like those others above him, but he definitely shapes up. He's well organised at the crease, looks like he shapes up well.
The field again spreads to allow Carson a single off the last ball of the over as in comes Taylor again, and Carson is up on his toes and plays quietly to short extra cover. There is no run. It is the end of the over. 205 for 8, Robinson on 23, Carson is on 7. Sussex still needing 130 if they're going to make Northamptonshire bat again.
And I suppose Carson's got a job in the future as well. You spoke about Ben Brown saying that he'd love to have Ollie Robinson bowling from both ends. But it's also having a good quality spinner in your side.
Yep.
That you can throw the ball to in any conditions and bowl well for your main seamer from the other end as well. Not only just to give seamers a rest or on a turning wicket, but on pitches that aren't favourable to spinners as well.
And here's Ben Sanderson, who's, as I say, picked up 4 wickets in this innings and 5 in the first innings, so 9 in the match so far, and he's coming in bowling to Ollie Robinson. Big appeal for LBW as that one nips back and he's out, and that's another 5 for Ben Sanderson, his second of the match. That ball just nipping back into Ollie Robinson. I think possibly the only thing was in my mind was height, but umpire Paul Baldwin has sent him on his way, and Northamptonshire now just 1 wicket away from victory. Robinson is out, LBW to Sanderson for 23, and Sussex 205 for 9.
He just fell over that, didn't he? Robinson really didn't go anywhere. Had noticed that with him being a tall lad at the crease, he does just like to stand and play from the crease, where the amount of movement and what Sanderson and Berg have been doing with the ball this morning both ways, it's not a massive amount, but it's just enough to put a bit of doubt in your mind as a batsman, or just enough to find the edge or nip back for an LB. Probably do need to be more precise on the crease, I would say. Actually making bigger strides forward or bigger strides back rather than just playing from the crease. Again though, as much as Sanderson's had brilliant control outside that off stump, just shaping the ball away, it was the ball that didn't swing, it's just held its line and would have crashed into middle and leg, I think.
So 205 for 9. I was just going to start and go through scores in the other matches, which I'll endeavour to do. Obviously Joe Sarrow comes to the crease. He's had well, I'm sure he'll always remember his first class debut no matter what happened, but he picked up a wicket with his 5th ball, so well done him. And but now he got 0 in the first innings. He'll be looking to get off a pair, I'm sure. And the field inevitably is gathering up and is very attacking. 4 slips in now. Ben Curran wandering into 4th slip. So for Sarrow, 4 slips, point, extra cover, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fine leg as Ben Sanderson with 5 wickets in each innings. And here's Sanderson comes in, bowls, and that hits Sarrow, I think, high up on the thigh pad. Just drops down in the crease, and Zabe comes into field, and there's no run. They haven't started yet at Grace Road between Leicestershire and Surrey. They're inspecting again in around about 10 minutes time. They obviously had the rain that we had. At Edgbaston, Warwickshire 343 all out, Worcestershire now 249 for 6 in reply, so 94 runs behind. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls to Sarrow's in behind that, nothing wrong with that stroke, pushes it up on the offside, fielded by Proctor at extra cover, and there's no run. At Old Trafford, where they have had a lot of rain really over the first 3 days, Glamorgan 344 all out, Lancashire 70 for 1, so 274 runs behind still. At the Rose Bowl, Hampshire 79 all out in their first innings, big lead for Somerset, and Hampshire struggling in their second innings, 138 for 6. So still 119 behind. Sanderson in bowls to Sarrow, who's got a run, so he's off a pair. In fact, he's going to get a couple as he angles the bat, steers it down wide of the slip cordon, and it's a long chase down there towards the third man boundary for Safe Zabe, who sends back his return, but Sarrow comes through for a couple, so he's off the mark. 207 for 9, Sussex. Yeah, so Hampshire still needing another 119 to make Somerset bat again. 4 wickets standing. At Trent Bridge, it's also a bit of a rearguard action from Essex. They're 166 for 6 in their second innings, still trailing Nottinghamshire by 58 with 4 wickets in hand. And no play before lunch at Headingley between Yorkshire and Kent. Sanderson in again, bowls to Sarrow, short of a length, and he drops that down on the onside and comes through for a single, which Wayne Parnell is quite happy to let them have. 3 to Sarrow, 208 for 9. 1 ball left in the over. Still the 3 slips rather in there now. The 4th slip's being pulled out to go out into the covers, so presumably they'll be happier to stop the single and have another go at Joe Sarrow. Here's Sanderson in again, and bowls to Carson short, and he just ducks underneath. That goes through to Adam Rossington. End of the over. 7 to Carson, 3 to Sarrow. Sussex 208 for 9, still trailing by 127. So no play before lunch at Headingley, where Yorkshire are 240 for 5 in reply to Kent's 305 all out. They didn't play at all there yesterday, so you feel they're going to struggle to get a result. And from Northamptonshire's point of view, chaps, I mean, if they can get a win here at a time when it looks as though the other 2 matches in this group are both probably heading for a draw, that would be a very useful outcome in the context of the group.
Well, it is going to be Taylor who's going to... I wonder if I should hand the microphone to you, because this could well be Northamptonshire on the verge of winning. You never know with the great game, but...
Well, we'll give it an over, shall we? Here's Taylor running in towards us and bowling to Joe Sarrow, who drives that up towards mid-off, and there's no run. You realise now that these two will be together at 4 o'clock this afternoon, having put together a record last wicket partnership for Sussex against Northamptonshire, and we'll have a frantic thrash for Northamptonshire to score 100 in 12 overs or something at 6 o'clock.
But it certainly keeps the group open, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean,
absolutely.
And everyone will feel with 2 or 3 more wins that they're not out of it.
The feeling was Yorkshire and Lancashire were just starting to run away with it a little bit. Bright sunshine now as Taylor comes in, bowls to Sarrow, who swings at that, aiming, what do you reckon, mid-on?
Yeah, I think so, straightish. It was back over the bowler's head.
Yeah.
One direction or the other, wasn't it? Left or right.
Yeah, well, whichever way he was aiming, he didn't make contact. It went through to Adam Rossington. 3 slips in, Vasconcelos at first, Berg at second, and Curran in there at third. And Tom Taylor looking to break the stranglehold that's been enjoyed by Gareth Berg and Ben Sanderson, who've taken all the wickets for Northamptonshire in this match, and Taylor beats the outside edge. Rossington actually then drops it when it went through to him. There's no edge, so not a problem. I just wonder, Ben, he's got the glove off. I think Adam Rossington's still feeling that that crack he got. It was a nasty one, wasn't it, Adrian?
Yes, it was.
You were here.
To Robinson, wasn't it?
There was a long old...
When he was batting?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there was a long delay, and Barry Hudrian, the physio, was out there for quite a while. And 3 or 4 overs afterwards, every time he played the ball, you could see he was in discomfort. Here's Taylor in, bowls to Sarrow outside the off stump. He swings, misses, goes through to Rossington, and there's no run. Yes, I've just had a 3-word message from my fellow Northamptonshire badger, John Whiting, who says Higgs and Illingworth. And any Northamptonshire supporters of a certain age will remember those two putting on, Ken Higgs and Ray Illingworth, putting on 228 for the last wicket for Leicestershire in 77, if memory serves. So you never know. Sarrow facing this ball from Tom Taylor, and he's okay in behind that, plays it up to extra cover where it's fielded by Rob Keogh, and there's no run, and the field now immediately departing to various corners of Wantage Road, quite intent on giving content, I should say, to give Sarrow the single. Charlie Thurston's now about 10 yards in from the boundary at backward point. Rob Keogh's retreating. Deep square is retreating. Mid-on's deep, mid-off's deep, but still the 3 slips in place. As Taylor comes in, bowls to Sarrow, who's beaten outside the off stump, goes through to Adam Rossington. End of the over, 208 for 9, Carson 7, Sarrow 3, and you finish it off, Adrian, or not, as the case may be.
Just thinking about Northamptonshire, because they'll be very pleased to have a week off.
Yes.
Next week. Sussex will desperately like a week. I think 6, we would know from your time in the game, 6 weeks on the spin, 4-day cricket, that's a lot of cricket then.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say that actually, that Rossington and Keogh, they look like they're struggling with their fingers. You can just tell the way they're catching the ball and throwing it around the circle. They're in some discomfort. So credit to those guys for playing through, which you do really just crack on and get on with it. But I'm sure they will enjoy a week off and maybe just a few days to recharge the batteries, rest those bones, and they'll still want to keep ticking over. And after a win like this, it's a great comeback from Northamptonshire after losing so emotionally last week.
Berg is picking up the attack, coming into bowl for the first time, I think, from this pavilion end of a ground. A short delivery that Carson ducks underneath, and there is no run. And indeed, you talk about the group. Andrew, had Northamptonshire, not gone down by 1 run to Yorkshire, they'd have been very well placed in this group.
Oh yes, so that's a thought that has been with me for a day or two.
Yeah,
but, there you
Cruel,
go.
Isn't it?
It's one of those things. It is what it is. Welcome back to 5 Live Sports Extra, who've rejoined us here at Wantage Road.
As Gareth Berg, looking for the final wicket of the match, comes in and bowls to Jack Carson, the young Northern Irishman who manages to get the one down to third man, picks up just a single, does Carson, but Northamptonshire on the verge of their second county championship win of the season here. They're 209 for 9 Sussex, still needing 126 more runs to make Northamptonshire bat again. Jack Carson is on 8. The debutant Joe Sarrow is on 3. And Gareth Berg is looking for his 5th wicket of the innings, 10 in the match. And indeed, if he does pick up this wicket, then all the wickets would have been shared by Gareth Berg and Ben Sanderson. There are 4 slips in place, and Berg is on his way. Over the wicket bowls, and Sarrow plays a perfectly respectable forward defensive shot, and Gareth Berg fields off his own bowling, and there is no run.
The irony of this, of course, is that Wayne Parnell, who took 10 wickets in the match up at Headingley, has bowled 6 overs in the whole match in the first innings, and very little in the second, and he hasn't taken a wicket.
Berg comes in, Sarrow awaits. He's in and bowls and sits on the pad, just goes out into the onside, fielded by Luke Proctor at mid-wicket, and there is no run. For those just joining us, Sussex beginning the day 154 for 4 in arrears by 181, and much depending on the 2 not-out batsmen, Stian Van Zyl and Ben Brown. But when Van Zyl was out in the second over of the morning, caught off the bowling of Ben Sanderson, Sussex were always up against it. Delray Rawlings followed shortly afterwards for a duck. As in comes Berg, bowls, and Sarrow with a play and a miss. How that didn't hit the stumps, I'm not too sure, taken by Rosington. And there is no run, and perhaps a final nail in the coffin was when Ben Brown was LBW for 39, the Sussex skipper, on his 150th first-class appearance for the county. Ollie Robinson made a defiant 23, Stuart Meeker 6, but the game almost up here for Sussex. As Berg wanders back to his mark, 4 slips in place, a short mid-wicket, extra cover, sweeper on the deep point boundary, mid-on, and a fine leg as Berg is in and bowls, and played by Sarrow through mid-wicket. So some couple of more runs here for Joe Sarrow, and he's going to come back for the second run as the throw comes in. They'll need to get a bit of a hurry on, but the throw is a fairly wild one from Proctor, and Sarrow goes through for a couple more runs. He goes to 5, and Sussex to 211 for 9. Is that the end of the over? Yes, it is the end of the over. So Gareth Berg hasn't picked up his 5th wicket of the innings. Sussex 211 for 9. Carson 8, Sarrow on 5.
I think there's slight frustrations there for Berg. He's bowled a really good line and length there to both those batters, and just outside the off stump. And playing miss, just missing coat of varnish on that off stump. But anything then slightly straighter, batsmen are true to form, and they're just staying in behind the line of it. Like Berg's not really got that extra yard of pace to hurry anybody. You'll just be hoping that they make a mistake now with the pressure they build.
Here's Tom Taylor starting a fresh over from the indoor centre end. 2 slips in place and a short extra cover. Bowling to Carson, who's in behind it. Plays it up to that man at short extra. That's Ben Curran. And there's no run. Rest of the field spread far and wide. Quite happy to give Carson the single and have a go at Sarrow. There's a very wide third man. That's Charlie Thurston, who's on the boundary. Extra cover on the boundary. Mid-off is deep, mid-on is deep. And there's a deep mid-wicket on the boundary and a long leg on the boundary. So there's a single pretty much anywhere. Here's Taylor in again. Bowls. Carson's very solidly in behind that. Pushes it up once again to Ben Curran at short extra, and there's no run. I think we established, Adrian, didn't we, that Joe Sarrow scored runs at his school down in Eastbourne. I think we had somebody got in touch with us.
Yes, they got in touch about a cup final that he was playing in against Millfield, and Millfield needed 1 to win, and Joe Sarrow got a hat trick.
Oh, yeah. did he not? I was trying to think. Did he not get some runs?
He might have done as well.
Well, he's a talented lad, and he's 19-year-old. It's good to see him coming into county cricket. Here's Taylor bowls to Carson, who whips that away up through mid-wicket. There isn't anybody there. There's a long on. It's just run round and stopped more than a single. That's Wayne Parnell with the trademark underarm throw. So 1 more to Carson, who goes up to 9. 212 for 9. He's overcast here. Now the sun, we had some sunshine periodically through the morning, but no sign of it at the moment. 3 slips in now for Joe Sarrow on debut. Make a name for himself with a bat. Here's Taylor in again, bowls to him, and he's in behind that, pushes it up on the offside. I don't know whether about you, Ben, the bat sounded a bit cracked there. Well, he just caught it on the bottom of the bat, but I'll have to get the tape out afterwards, I think.
I think so. It did. There's on 2 or 3 occasions that's happened, actually, bowling from that top end. It's just hit the bottom of the bat there. Whether the pitch is dying slightly now, and that extra little bit of spice from being under the covers for 24 hours is wearing off.
It wouldn't be a huge surprise, thinking about how the pitches have played at Northampton so far this season. Here's Taylor in again. Bowls short to Sarrow, who pulls. It loops up over deep, sort of just over backward square, really. They come through for a single. A little bit of kidology down on the boundary as they try to persuade him to have another go. Ben Sanderson down there, but no, they're going to settle for the single. 1 more to Sarrow, 6 to him, 213 for 9. And if it's short, he's going to take it on.
Yeah.
On that occasion, he just caught a little bit high up the bat, and it looped just behind square. Would have been an easy catch for umpire Paul Baldwin, but he's not there to do that. Still quite a breezy early afternoon here at Northampton, but hopefully keeping the showers away, as that's another short ball from Tom Taylor. And well, Carson thought about pulling it. He tried to, and in fact it sailed past the outside edge. Goes through to Adam Rossington, and that's the end of another over, with Carson on 9, Sarrow 6, 213 for 9, and Sussex still needing 122 to make Northamptonshire bat again.
Clever use of the bouncer there at the end, trying to keep Sarrow on strike. Well, actually achieving that, keeping Sarrow on strike for Berg to run in and have 6 balls out. I think be an interesting. There's a game within a game here, isn't there? There's a wicket for Northamptonshire to win, and there's a wicket for Berg to take his 5th, 10 for the game. A little bit of a stat of the 2 bowlers to share the 20 wickets, etc., etc. But Gareth Berg doesn't strike me as being anybody with his own agenda. He'll just run in and bowl, and very good team player.
Voice there of Ben Smith, as in comes Berg, and Sarrow just drives down the wicket. Berg fields of his own bowling, and there is no run. Formerly of Leicestershire and Worcestershire.
We've talked a bit about this whole business of bowlers taking all 20 wickets, and I mean certainly it has been done for Northamptonshire before, but whether it's been done, and I've just been asked this, whether it's been done with 4 5s, so 5 in each innings for 2, and that I would have to do a bit more work on.
In comes Berg over the wicket, bowls, and sorry, looking to heave that one down in the direction of fine leg. I wonder whether he played the ball into his helmet then,
Yeah,
actually.
there's,
I think Adam Rosington's going and making sure the young man's all right. That was nice to see, and I think Joe Sorrow said, yes, I'm fine. He looked to pull that one, and I think he pulled the ball into his helmet, Ben.
Yeah, he's either got a top edge into his lid or it's hit him flush. Let me just have a look, because we've got it on the...
They're certainly having a word. Presumably they'll have to come out with another helmet and go through the concussion protocols, I would imagine.
Yeah, and
I think that hit him flush on the helmet.
I think it did. He was through his shot a little bit. It was sort of like his right-handed batsman. It's hit him on the right-hand side of the helmet, so he did actually turn his head. Looks like it's hit him on the side of the helmet, fortunately, and it has hit the helmet flush, so it's not missed and hit him on any vulnerable areas, fortunately.
Now, for listeners who may not be aware of what happens with the concussion thing, talk us through it, Ben, because they have to have, is it questions that they have to answer?
Yeah, so the helmet will just be checked, basically. Probably, I'm not 100% sure, but that might need to be replaced now, whether the helmets are only allowed to be hit once flush like that. Then he'll have a number of answers to his concussion questions that he'll have asked when he's normally sort of like, I suppose it's everyday life really, if you're not concussed.
Yeah.
Once you get hit then on the head, you have to relay those same answers to the same questions, and if there's any doubt in any of that, then obviously the physio, head of science and medicine can determine whether there's any concussion.
Well, it's absolutely right that they check these things. Just worries me if I was ever in that position, what would happen if they asked me what day do you put your bins out? I'd struggle to remember.
I think he's okay. I just saw the physio John nod there to the umpire, so I think what they're waiting for now is possibly a new helmet to be brought out. I had a couple of emails in this morning, one from Clive Jacobs. Thank you, Clive, for getting in touch, just saying that Northamptonshire took full advantage of the helpful bowling conditions on the first day, which they certainly did. They bowled very well. They were helpful conditions, to be fair. But the Sussex, reliant on the ever-improving Ollie Robinson, who certainly did carry the attack here. It's a very young Sussex attack, and it's very much the way that Sussex are going, giving younger bowlers a chance. Joe Sarrow is only 19. Henry Crocombe, another good young bowler, not playing in this match, is 19. Jamie Atkins, 18. So a lot of young Sussex bowlers around the squad. A bit of talk around that at some stage Jofra Archer will need to play a 4-day game to prove his fitness ahead of the Test series against New Zealand. Now, Sussex's next game is next week against Kent at Hove, and then they have a week off, and then Northamptonshire make the visit to Hove. But I'd have thought that may be a little late if you're going to... That's the 27th of May, I think that game starts, and the Test match is the following week. So I would have thought that if they're looking... and I think these are probably England's decisions as opposed to Sussex. I don't quite know how that works.
Oh, it'll be the England that will make the decision on who they want to pick, depending on what the workloads are on the players.
Well, Joe Sarrow's fortunately okay, and Gareth Berg comes running in over the wicket bowl to Sarrow, who, well done him, he's bravely right in behind that and punches that to mid-off, and there is no run. You'd have thought at some stage he played a second 11 game, Jofra Archer against Surrey last week down at Hove, where he bowled quite a lot of overs, I think 29. But I'd have thought they'd wanted to see him play some first-class cricket.
It's always nice to see selections made on a little bit of form as well.
Yeah. Here comes Berg and bowls. Oh, and I thought Sarrow was going to be bowled, but he played it fairly late, and he gets a single through mid-wicket and picks up.
I suppose it's a difficult decision to be made because you don't necessarily, it's not in the same environment, but yes, the first line of attack will be to get Jofra Archer through his overs, so his workloads are up, so he can get through after that little operation and be fighting fit. But you would like to see him probably in a bit more intense environment before going into a Test match, that's for sure.
3 slips in place, 3 men saving one and a rig on the offside, a mid-on, 2 men set back deep on the leg side, as in comes Berg to bowl to the right-handed Jack Carson. He's in and bowls, and Carson plays that pleasantly enough between 2 of those fielders at point and cover who are saving the single, and Carson goes through for a single. He goes to 10, so it's 215 for 9. With all due respect to these two, you feel you're in the dying embers of this game, really. Sussex still needing another 120 to make Northamptonshire bat again, and I'm sure Northamptonshire are desperately keen to get this wrapped up before lunch. There's quite a lot of cloud around. They won't want any interruptions, as In comes Berg again and bowls, and Surrey just stands tall and punches that down to mid-off. He survived another over. He's on 7, Carson on 10. Sussex 215 for 9.
Yeah, I'd be very tempted here to see how these two would play the spin, just to see whether they're prepared just to sort of like sit in and block it, in which case then you can put catches around the bat, even if it's not turning, just to get an outside edge, attack both edges of the batsman's bat, or are they prepared to take a few risks, have a bit of a go and see if they can just chip one straight up in the air.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of Rob Keogh in this second innings, but here's Tom Taylor running in from the indoor centre end, bowls to Jack Carson, who's pushing that up to extra cover, fielded by Ben Curran, and there's no run. 2 slips in now, Vasconcelos at first, Berg at second, and once again Northamptonshire, apart from the man in at short extra, quite happy to give Carson the single with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the boundary, or at any rate close to the boundary. Thurston's about 10 yards in off the fence at deep backward point. Here's Taylor in again, bowls, and he's bowled him, and that's the end of the match. Pitched it up, and Jack Carson looking to swing that away over the bowler's head, doesn't make contact, and the ball rattles into the stumps, and that's victory for Northamptonshire. They've bowled Sussex out here for 215, and that means that Northamptonshire have won this match by an innings and 120 runs. It's Northamptonshire's second championship win of the season, and those with a sense of history will be slightly disappointed that that business of the tame 2 bowlers taking all of the wickets doesn't happen, because Tom Taylor has picked up the last one, but I'm sure that Gareth Berg and Ben Sanderson won't worry too much about that. That's the end of the game. 215 all out. The players shaking hands and congratulating each other, the Northamptonshire fielders at least, and that's a pretty emphatic win. They've wrapped it up, as Adrian said, half an hour before lunch on this, the 4th and final day. 215 all out. Carson the last out, bowled by Taylor for 10, and leaving Joe Sarrow unbeaten on 7. 215 all out, and Ben Northamptonshire are going to be well satisfied with their 3 and a bit days work.
Yeah, I think that's pretty it'll be very satisfying for them, especially a great bounce back after what would have been quite emotionally draining and a cruel week last week against Yorkshire. Yeah, I mean, credit really goes to the ground staff here for me today. The fact that you've actually started on time and been able to use the facilities and the conditions as best as you possibly could as a fielding team. But again, the control and the quality of the Northamptonshire bowlers, it's relentless. It's not a massive amount of pace between the two of Berg and Sanderson, but they sure have challenged those Sussex batsmen pretty much ball after ball after ball, making them play, getting the ball in the right areas. Sussex unfortunately didn't really have any answers today. They could have done, I think, if they'd have just maybe got over that first half an hour. Then we would have seen the game swing slightly more, not so much into a 50-50, but given Sussex a lot more hope anyway, and having a batsman in along the way would have helped them as well, but it wasn't to be.
Now, and Adrian, I think from the Sussex point of view, you have to say that they really lost it on the first morning. I think 25 for 7. It was going to be a difficult thing to come back from. That said, battle back into the game. Had Northamptonshire 60 for 4, and then it just went away from them.
Yes, absolutely, and it's not making excuses. I mean, first of all, well played Northamptonshire, and particularly Ben Sanderson and Gareth Berg. I just felt that on the opening morning, whoever had batted first may well have had a tough time.
Absolutely,
It was a very good toss for Northamptonshire to win, and the game could have been very different. That being said, I think where Northamptonshire really gained in this match by having 2 seam bowlers who were right on the money all the time, and Ollie Robinson really was fighting a pretty lone battle really. What did he take? 5 for 58, and no other Sussex bowler. Ben Brown was always struggling to hold up an end, and that was really the problem. From 60 for 4, Sussex were right back in the game, but you just can't bowl Robinson all the time.
No. I've mentioned it before when I've been on the mic with watching Northamptonshire play down here this year. I can remember casting my memory back to when I captained Worcestershire and I had Matt Mason and Gareth Batty on my side. Kabir Ali and a couple of other bowlers could come in and be impact bowlers and run in and attack the batsman, and I wasn't too concerned about the run rate. Then to be able to throw the ball back to Mason and Batty, I'd get control back again, 2.5 and over, and then I could go again with the impact bowlers, and it sounds as though that's what Sussex has probably lacked, especially during this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And in previous matches this season, Sussex and Ben Brown's been able to turn to Jack Carson, who's done a very good holding job as well as taking wickets. He's picked up 18 wickets this season, but it wasn't quite Jack's day, and it was interesting when he came on to bowl that immediately Rob Keogh seemed to go on the attack. I think his first 3 overs went for 24, and Ben was then looking for other options. I felt sorry for Ben Brown in this game. He was desperately trying to block up an end, but it never really happened. And a relatively inexperienced young Joe Sarrow, given his debut in this game. But young bowlers, I think, learn, Ben. There are, that's the way that Sussex are going, and they're going to be ups and downs and bumps in the road, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And they've got, like you said, that they've got good experienced players around them, and an understanding coaching staff, and that is the case. Then, and everyone buys into it, and there's an understanding when things don't quite go right. Then I'm sure they'll be fine. It's just that there's always a stage where, when you're trying to rebuild, or you're trying to bring players through, or you're slightly underpowered because you've lost players to England or through injury, there's always an option for some people just to get a little bit twitchy because things aren't going their way with points and wins, etc. Don't take your eyes off the fact that a lot of the processes that go into place for some of the outcomes in cricket are just as important, because then when you do get those players back and you do form a side that pull together, you're going to be far, far stronger.
Well, I'm sure that James Kirtley and Ian Salisbury were working, very hard with those youngest players. I think Sussex could do with a week off, Andrew. To be honest, it's been a tough 5 weeks,
absolutely.
And they've got to go again on Thursday against Kent at home, and then a week off, and then we'd be delighted to welcome you down to the South Coast. It just remains for me to say thank you for your hospitality, and well played, Northamptonshire.
Thanks, Adrian. We've loved having you with us, and look forward to seeing you very much in a couple of weeks' time down at Hove. I'm very much looking forward to that one. Buy myself a stick of rock. I know there's loads of people out there who like to keep their scorecards up to date, so let me just run through the nuts and bolts of the morning so far. Well, that is it now, isn't it? 154 for 4 overnight. Sussex this morning lost Van Zale, caught Baskin Salos, bowled Sanderson for 72. That was 159 for 5. Delray Rawlings caught Rossington, bowled Berg, 0. That was 160 for 6. Ben Brown, LBW Berg for 39. That was 169 for 7. Stuart Meeker caught Rossington, bowled Sanderson for 6. That was 194 for 8. Then we had who have I missed? Ollie Robinson, of course, LBW to Sanderson for 23. That was 205 for 9. And last of all, Jack Carson, who was bowled by Tom Taylor for 10, leaving Joe Sarrow 7 not out. There were 12 extras, 4 byes, 6 leg byes, 2 no balls. Sussex all out for 215 in the 63rd over at 12:30 on the 4th day. And at the bowling figures, Ben Sanderson, 22 overs, 5 maidens, 5 for 71, so 10 for 99 in the match. Gareth Berg, 21 overs, 5 maidens, 4 for 72, so 9 for 90 in the match for him. Tom Taylor, 8.2 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 22. Wayne Parnell, 5 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 17. Rob Keogh bowled 4 overs for 9, and Luke Proctor, 3 overs for 14. So very many thanks for joining us for as much of this match as you've been able to take in. And Northamptonshire winning here by an innings and 120 runs. From me, Andrew Radd, from Adrian Harms, and from Ben Smith, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll be back on duty the next time there's county cricket here at Wantage Road.